Class number 323, Living by Faith Now. This is February the 10th, 2022. I want to start with the scripture, Hebrews 11, 1, 3, and I think it's 6. I didn't look it up. I just did it from memory, but I think it's Hebrews 11, 6 too. And Hebrews 11, 1 says, faith is, it starts out with now. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. But when you go look at the Aramaic translation, particularly the one that Dr. Rocco Errico goes into, he brings out all of the words that are associated with that word, the Aramaic term, Heymanuka, which we get the word amen from. It says, now faith, which is a conviction, which is a firmness of mind, which is substance, which means stands under. He's saying, now that which stands under, the firmness of mind, is the whatever you are hoping for. It is the substance. That word substance means that which stands under. So faith, that which stands under, that firmness of mind is the substance, is what things are made out of that which you hope for. Now, that word hope, most of the time when we use that word hope, it's kind of weak. My daughter-in-law, Lisa, called it. She said, yeah, it's kind of wishy-washy. Like, it means, I said, maybe. She said, yeah, maybe it will and maybe it won't. Sometimes that's where we drift off as far as hope is concerned. But in reality, the term, the hope, the word that they use in Aramaic for hope is expectation. Now, that gives it a different twist, doesn't it? In other words, my firmness of mind stands under that which I expect. Wow. Then he goes on to say, for it was that which stood under of things that are already in existence, and it is, and he does not use the word evidence because that was not the word in Aramaic. It is the revelation, the revealing, the appearance of that which I expected. So the double, how can I say it? The double reference there. Faith has a double type of a meaning. It stands under and it appears. That's really all we have to remember. Faith, the firmness of mind, stands under what I expect, and it appears as that which I expect. So the very first thing we need to go into is, what do I expect? Now let's just look at, we know that it says a lively hope is expectation. So the thing that we should expect is to live with the understanding that which stands under what we expect. We should expect stillness, because it says in quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Now, the joy of the Lord is my strength. So that means that if I'm quiet, that means I'm confident. That means that I derive joy, which is the fruit of the Spirit. I'm bearing fruit. And that is going to activate something that's called silence. And when we think of silence, we just think of it being quiet in the house and no sound going on, or being somewhere where there's no sound. That's not really silence. Silence is there's no thought going on from the past, and there's no thought going on about the future. That's silence. And the only way to that silence is stillness. Stillness. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, the deliverance of the law. What is the law delivering me from? Thinking about the past, thinking about the future. Let me say it again. I'm being delivered from thinking about the past and thinking about the future. How something might happen or how something has happened. I am the person, the one, who is observing those thoughts and who is realizing I am taking no thought. Because I'm trying to tell you, the human being, the human mind, that wasn't what Jesus was saying, hey, take no thought. Well, the human mind is going to take thought. But what he's saying is don't agree with it. Don't accept it. Don't let this thing come over and drive you mad. Because you, remember now, you are children of God, sons of God, no gender. So when am I the son of God? 1 John. Now are we the sons of God. But that son has choice, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But, so what do we expect of God? Well, the first thing is, if we go back and look at the scripture we've been looking at for a few weeks, it's Mark 11:22 through 25. It says, have faith in God. Now, in other words, let this firmness of mind stand under your belief that God is all. What is God? All. So your firmness of mind has to be that God is all. And anything that I'm looking at that happened in the past or that might happen in the future, that's not God. God is all, and all is right now. And there ain't a whole lot that can be added to it. See, what do we expect from God? What does God include? If God is all and God is now, then God includes all that is very good. What does God not include is a better way of looking at it. Well, God does not include error, sickness, disease, any kind of sin. Well, who sins? Time, the past, the future, the human mind, being used inappropriately, all sin and fall short of the glory of God. So God is all and includes all. So just like, what do I expect? I expect God to be all. I don't expect God to do anything because God has done everything. Creation is complete. Finished. So what should I expect? I should expect to experience all that God is. That's what I should expect. All day, today. All day, right now. I ain't talking about 4 o'clock this evening, 10 o'clock tonight. That'll take care of itself. I'm just talking about right now. All of God is what I should expect to experience right now and continue to experience that right now. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, that which is to be has already been. And that which has been or that which is done is now. So who is it that's out here trying to get something done or somebody trying to erase something that has been done? Certainly is not God, and certainly it is not you. You are the one you're observing that was trying to be outdone or undone or erased, and you are observing that which might happen if you don't do ding, 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 ding. And so what's going on there is that's not you. That's an image that the human mind, all filled up with ego, is trying to control, to take over, to run life, when really, out of the heart, the issues of life are flowing. There's nothing that can stop that. It's there. You cannot add anything to God, and you cannot take away anything from God, because there's no space. There's just all. And there's nothing outside of that. In Hebrews 11:3, it goes on to say the worlds were framed by the word of God. Now, in 23 of Mark 11, that's where Jesus says, whosoever shall say to the mountain, be thou removed. I honestly believe with all my heart that what Jesus is saying is, my firmness of mind stands under the fact that God has already made everything perfect. And so that is trying to enter into my consciousness as a son of God, looking for acceptance, is removed. If I don't accept it, the I that I am is maintaining its oneness with God, with all. So anything mountain to me means that which is impeding, that which is distracting. Well, God can't be distracted. God cannot be, you can't impede God. God's not trying to progress to anything. God already is, and everything already is. Perfection already is. That's why he said, be perfect as your Father is perfect, because all God is looking at is perfection, if there is such a thing as God looking. But we just keep thinking about how to get this God to do something, to undo something, to make something right, to fix something. But in reality, nothing to fix. Faith was the firmness of mind, that which stands under everything that's in existence right now. Everything. A philosopher said nothing is good or bad, thinking makes it so. That's for real. You know, you look out here and you say, I see that car. And then you start thinking about what might happen to it or what has happened to it. Now you're off into the good and the bad. And the you that's into the good and the bad is the Son of God, who has made a choice to be caught up in distraction thinking. That's what I call it. On Monday morning, I told you I've been practicing this all week. But on Monday morning, I heard this voice say, you have the substance of everything now. I heard that before, but it was years ago. I think I probably told y'all this story before. But years ago, I remember after I heard that, I said, well, if I have the substance of what it is, and this is the exact terminology, these are the words I use. If I have the substance of what it is that I need, not appear to need, I said that I need, then that means I have that which I need. If I have the substance of the thing, I have the thing. I needed to pay $2,100 rent on the building that houses our recording studio. And with that, this peace came all over me. I felt a little warmth. I was like, oh, wow. And I was able to forget. First, I was afraid, oh, man, if I don't pay this, now I'm going to get an extra fee, a late fee, all of this kind of stuff added to it. At 12 noon, the mail came. I went outside. Our mail used to come between 11 and 12 o'clock, and it was in that noon hour, what have you. I went out there, and I got the mail, and there was a check out there in the mail. Because as soon as I saw BMI on the envelope, I went, oh, my. Hopefully there's a check in here. Now, the way I used hopefully was it might be and it might not. I didn't even wait to get in the house. I popped it open right there at the mailbox, and when I pulled it out, it was 2,100, and I forget the rest of what was there. And I was like, oh, wow, I had the substance of this. That means I had it. And I came in the house, and I was just, oh, man, I couldn't wait. I ran right to the bank and put it in the bank. I wrote a check out to pay the rent because the rent was due. It's due on the 1st, and I had 5 days to get it there. And it only had to go to Bethesda. So I got it in the mail right then and put it in the mail, and I said, phew, I dodged the bullet. Now look at where my consciousness was back then. I dodged the bullet. Now, today, I'm looking at it like I have the substance of what I expect. What do I expect? I expect God to be God. I expect God to be all. I expect to be still about any kind of thinking that's going to try to come to tell me, well, you know, if you didn't have it last month or you might not get it, what you going to do next time, all of that kind of stuff. I'm able to look at all of that and realize God doesn't think like that, so I'm going to choose to remain in this stillness. And so how am I going to do that? Well, I'm just going to observe these thoughts, because observing these thoughts makes me know I'm not the one thinking them. That's not me. That's the human mind. And to choose rightly means I'm going to use the mind to make sure that I'm on the Bible class at 10 o'clock. I'm going to get it going. If I have an appointment for 3 o'clock, I'm going to make 3 o'clock. That's it. But I'm not going to use the human mind to try and organize my life. What you going to do about this? What you going to do about that? Oh, man, how about this happened da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da years ago or months ago or yesterday? Not doing that, because that's not going to do anything except make a bad choice and then try to get out of it and know that that choice that put me in it is going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. That's why I see these people running around talking about we're going to fight this until we get what we want. No, you're not. You're not going to fight anything to get what you want. The only fight you're going to do is the fight of faith. That means I'm going to observe the thoughts that come from the past and the thoughts that come from the future. And I don't care whether they were good thoughts or bad thoughts. I'm just going to observe them. Okay. So now, as I said, that caused me to go back and start contemplating stillness. Because I realized the man wouldn't have said that so many times. Moses with the people at the Red Sea, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Then there was another one, I think it was Jehoshaphat. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. These people out here today, you will not have to fight with them. The Lord will fight for you. Is that what I expect? Do I expect the Lord to fight with me? Yes. Okay. So what kind of fighting is the Lord going to do? That means the law is going to bring to my remembrance that if I don't choose to go along with past thinking and future thinking, that's the fight. I am going to observe what's going on with this thought. Think about it. I think it's the 11:55, Isaiah 55. Your thoughts are not my thoughts. What does he mean, your thoughts? He's talking about the choices that you have made to go along with human mental thinking that's trying to create, form, add to, fix. That's not my thought. Your ways are not my ways. But just as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways and my thoughts higher than yours. So as I contemplate stillness, so what is this? What is this stillness? In King James, it says, be still and know that I am God. The Aramaic Lambda translation says, repent and know that I am God. They both mean the same thing. Change. Do an about face. About face from what? You're not acknowledging your stillness. You're going along with all of this errant thinking. Well, what is stillness? What is the process? What is it? It is a cleansing of judgmental thoughts. Well, how do I practice this stillness? I'm telling you, this is what came to me because I've read, studied, years until finally it clicked from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. My daughter Shauna gave me a book for Christmas 3 or 4 years ago. It was called Stillness Speaks. And I woke up one day and it was like, you need to get that book, Stillness Speaks. And I started reading it. First chapter, I was like, oh, my God. But, I woke up and it said, read Stillness Speaks. However, I waited until around 10 o'clock that night before I read it. Now, don't ask me why, because I had something else to do. Even though I hate to say it, my mind told me I had something else to do. I needed to do this. I needed to do that. When all I needed to do was lay there and read Stillness Speaks, and then get up and start moving through what it was that I needed to do. And then after I read Stillness Speaks, then I kept reading after I read the first chapter, and I just kept listening. But there was something in, some YouTube clip I was looking at. Might have been by Rocco Errico. Might have been by, I don't know who. But they were saying, look around in your house or wherever you are right now, even if you're in your car. Just think about everything that you're looking at around you is still. I don't care what it is. Everything is still. So I started doing, I was looking around, and I was like, yeah, all this is stillness. Where is this stillness? It's in my awareness. This stillness is actually who I am. I am observing and contemplating things that are still. Well, if they're still and I am the stillness, then they're what I am and I'm what they are, and we're one. Then it went deeper. Actually, God within me, within you, is realizing its oneness with all and as all. So God is doing the realizing, and I'm along for the ride enjoying it because I'm one with God. I'm in the bosom of the Father. And as sons of God, I'm deriving the benefit. No gender. Sons of God. Children of God. I'm deriving this benefit. How? By choice. I'm given choice in the hope. And remember now, that word hope means expectation. In the expectation that I choose rightly. I clearly understand because I have accepted. I have accepted this as the process. And then this little, from time to time I say, okay, God, you got jokes. The next little analogy popped up in my head. It was like, well, the water is already there when you decided to go swimming. You don't have to go there and create the water. The water is there when you decide to go fishing. It's already there. So it is God that has already expected me to make the perfect choice. And so when I make that perfect choice to observe, I can speak to the mountain, the errant thought, the past and the future. Be removed. And it has to go. Because I'm choosing to just observe it and then not become a part of its drama, its foolishness. That to me is just wonderful. I don't see anything any more wonderful than that. God is all. God is making the choices. God has already, I should have said God has already made the choice. Creation is complete. I am fixed. I am absolutely fixed in the bosom of the Father, and therefore the choice is easy. Don't agree with the past or the future. Just observe it. Agree to observe it and to just be in the stillness, and those thoughts of past and future dissolve right into what we call the silence. And then the next thing I'm going to observe is all of that space between the last thought of the past and the future and the next one. And sometimes that space can be a few seconds. Yesterday, I honestly had about 30 to 40 seconds of observing the fact that I didn't have a negative or a positive thought about the future or the past for about 30 to 40 seconds. And that burn just pops up on the inside, and I feel that, and I go, oh, wow, man, I'm at peace. Somebody's sick. You can ask yourself, well, when did they get sick? That means it was in the past. And they're looking to get healed. That means it's in the future. But if I look at it and observe those thoughts and go, yeah, but that's just God, because God is all. I don't sit around thinking about whether they're sick or whether they're going to get healed or any of that. I'm just looking at God as all. So that is within me. That choice is the speaking to the mountain and saying, be thou removed. Now we go to Mark 11:24, and it says, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe you receive them, and you shall have them. Now when you pray, that's where you got to get the reality of the definition of prayer. Remember, in Aramaic, prayer means to set a trap. So when you contemplate, you are setting a trap. When you contemplate, all that's there is God, and that nothing is missing. Where God is. And that means that we know God is everywhere, because it says our Father throughout the universe. So contemplation is trapping where God is. So what would I have to ask God to do? Because God is all, God's not sick. God is looking out and seeing God. That just makes me feel so good. Especially when it comes to how traumatized I was over from November the 28th all the way up until, I think last Sunday. Last Sunday I went out to the cemetery. I go there sometimes because, y'all ready for this? I go down there. I don't go down there to pray to my wife or to talk to my wife. I don't go down there to do that. I see it on TV, and well, that doesn't make any sense. Because Jesus said to them, why are you looking for the living in the land of the dead? And so I go down there because it's quiet. Everything is still. And there's no thought. So I went down there Sunday because I just wanted to just be in another place of quiet and stillness. So I looked up on their website, not their website, but I Googled, Resurrection Cemetery. We're open now, closed at 7. So I said, oh, wow, okay, boom. It's like 4:20. So let me get in the car and run down there right quick. So I drive down there. And all the way down there, I'm not taking any thoughts about how foolishly people are driving. But then there was this one thought that just kept banging at me, and it was this guy was just driving all up on the back of me. So close until if I had put on brakes in a hurry, he might not have been able to stop. So then what I did was slowed up, started going under the speed limit. And he slowed up and started going right on the back of me. See, I told you can't fight fire with fire. So then I moved on up. So then when we got down to where you make your left turn on the road where the cemetery is, there are 2 left turn lanes. And so all of these lanes that turn left on the inner, there was like 4 or 5. You ever notice how people just line up behind each other? So I went all the way up to the front of the outside left turn lane. I said, I'll be able to get in. I'm not going to fight to get in. I'll get in. The light changed, and we start making the left. And there's this guy that was beside me made his left. I made my left. The lady that was a little bit behind me noticed that I was going to try to get over, and she rushed up real fast to keep me from getting over. What shocked me was I didn't take any thought about it. And I was like, who are you and what have you done with Michael Orr? And she rushed up real quick, and I looked back, and there was 2 car lengths behind her, so I just pulled on over in the left. The guy who was riding all up on the back of me, he's now 3 or 4 cars back riding on the back of somebody else because I ain't fight with him. So then I get down to where the cemetery is, and I turn left and pull up in there. I go right to where I'm supposed to go now because I know exactly where it is. I got my little landmarks. So I go up there and I park, and I notice there's a lady. And I get out the car. She takes one look at me that looked like, the look. Here's a black man. I better hurry up and get finished what I'm doing so I can, because there's nobody out there working. It's just me and her. I said, I ain't going to even take no thought about that. I'm just going to park and get out. And I noticed that I wasn't paying much attention to what she was doing. And I got on over there and walked up to where Cynthia's grave site and her mom and dad's and her grandma and grandpa's graves. I walked right up there. They were right beside each other. And I was just standing around and thinking about how quiet it was, how calm it was. I was in this stillness. I was in the now, just like I am right now. Not contemplating what might happen, not contemplating what did happen, none of that. Just looking around, feeling the quiet. And after about 10 minutes of that, well, of course, the woman who looked like she was frightening me hopped in her car and left. And then there was another lady came up there. And now here she comes with a cell phone, talking to somebody on the cell phone, and they trying to direct her to where the grave site is. And she's talking all out loud, and she's going on and on and on and on. And I'm just letting it go by the best I can. It's distracting, but I'm not being annoyed by it. It's distracting. I'm not being irritated by it. I'm just letting it go on. And then she walked so far away looking for the gravesite, it made me think of the day I was wandering around all up there looking for Cynthia's gravesite. And I said, Cindy, where in the world are you? And the little voice came back and said, I'm right here with you. And that lady was I couldn't hear her. And then about 5 minutes later, she comes walking back toward her car. And she's talking on the phone again. And then I see a car coming around, and it's got these red lights flashing on it like a police car, a guard or something. And I'm like, wonder who he's looking for. And he pulls up and gets out of his car. Right, I was just getting ready to go down to tell her, look, I have a map in my bag, and if you know exactly what the site number is, I can tell you basically where it is. Before I could go tell her that, this guy gets out of the police-looking car. He gets right out of the police-looking car, and he says, I'm getting ready to close the gates, so you guys are going to have to leave now. And I said, oh, we got to leave now? I said, on the website it said 7 o'clock. Oh, no, that's March the 5th. After March the 5th, we close at 7. We close at 5 now. I'm like, oh, okay. I wanted to get mad. I chose not to. The lady got on in her car. She circled around to go all the way around to go out. I got in my truck, and I just spun around right where I was. So I'm going to make sure I don't drive up on no grave. I turned it around, and I left. Came out. On the way back home, I just paid no attention to how people were driving. I came back home and I said, I was at peace. It was peaceful there. It was wonderful. And I said, oh, man, stillness. Stillness. What do people suffer from as human beings? Not being still. They have negative self-images. You see, without faith, it's impossible to please God. When we recognize that it is God who is standing under that which we are expecting, and it is God who is revealing that which we are expecting, uncovering that which is hidden, our stillness takes over. What are they suffering from as humans? Negative self-images. They're thinking of the past and the future. We ask and we receive. Ask what? Father, what image do you have of yourself as me? Let me say that again. Father, what image do you have of yourself as me? See, I know he that asks, he that seeks, and he that knows, receives, finds, and opens. Opens what? Opens what? You know, I said yesterday, for whoever asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks the door is opened. Ask and receive what? Seek and find what? Knock and the door is open to what? The good that has already been given by a loving Father, Abba, Daddy. Luke 15:31. Remember the prodigal son? What did his father say? My son, my child, you are always with me, and everything which is mine is yours. Your job is to take, receive, accept, experience, because it's all yours. What made this a prodigal son? What made him prodigal? He chose to think that there was something outside of his father consciousness. I will take this limited amount of funds and go out into the world and do my thing. Psalms 35:27 says, God is pleased in the prosperity of his people. Wow. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So if I realize that God is that which is standing under what I expect, and God which is revealing or uncovering that which is hidden that I expect, if I know that, God is pleased. It pleases him to give us the kingdom. I want to read you something from Isaiah chapter 46. This is amazing. When I saw this, I said, wow. It says, Baal has fallen down. Nebo is overthrown. Their idols were loaded as burdens upon beasts, yea, upon weary beasts and cattle. Whenever I talk about idols and that kind of stuff, think about the fact that means thoughts. Thoughts of the past and thoughts of the future. What has happened and what might happen, which wasn't true to begin with. They were overthrown. Remember, do what to the mountain? They were overthrown. They are fallen down together. They could not rescue those who carried them, but they themselves are gone into captivity, bringing into captivity every evil thought into the obedience of Christ. And that word Christ in Aramaic means anointed. I love it. Dr. Erico said, Christ was not Jesus' last name. It meant he was anointed. Hearken to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, even those who are born in the belly and who still are carried in the womb. What? Those who are in the belly, who are carried in the womb. He said, you hearken to me. Remember the prophet said, you knew me when I was in my mother's womb. Why? Because you are who I am. You are appearing in the womb as yourself, appearing as me. My body, my mind, my heart, everything, my soul. You are all. Even to your old age, I am he. And even to gray hairs, I will endure. I have made and I will sustain. Even I will carry and will deliver. Every time I look in the mirror and I look at all this white hair on my head, I go, oh, wow, man, you with me all the way, even to my gray hair. To whom will you liken me and make me equal and compare me to, that we may be alike? To those who go astray, there we go, thinking outside the box. To those who go astray, who pour out gold from their bags and weigh silver in the balance and hire a goldsmith, and they make it a god. They worship it, and they also pray to it. What's he talking about? Money. They make money a god. They bear it up on their shoulders. They carry it and set it in its place, and it cannot rise up from its place. They also pray to it, but it does not answer them, nor save them from their troubles. Money does not save people from their troubles because they're going to have the same troubles again next month. Remember these things and discern. Bring it again to your mind, O you transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is no other God, and there is none like me. And this is the part that really seals it home. Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Wow. I'm pleased with you. I'm pleased in your prosperity. I'm pleased with your overall sense of well-being. Why do you have this overall sense of well-being? Because you know I am standing under all that you expect. And the only thing you expect is for me to be all. All health, wealth, riches, this overall feeling of well-being. God is pleased with itself. God is living by faith. God is living as you right now. Amen. And so it is.